This is David Levine, and I'm the Executive Director and co-founder of the American Sustainable Business Council. The Council was formed in 2009 as a gathering of business organizations to work together to drive on policies and other strategies that would help us to create a more vibrant, equitable, and sustainable economy. Over the last several years, we've grown to now over 36 business organizations representing close to 70,000 businesses and hundreds of thousands of employees. Most of them have adopted a triple bottom line perspective. In other words, people, planet, and profit. So their businesses are proving that on a day-to-day basis you can find this balance and make successful businesses. So it was this coming together of the many different types of business organizations, from those representing local living economies, to micro-enterprise, to women's economic development, to local community economic development, to green and sustainable businesses. These wide range of diverse organizations decided to come together because they all represent, a part of the puzzle of what a new economy could look like. And together they recognize that by working in collaboration with each other, that we have a much greater strength, a much greater voice, a much greater power in order to drive this understanding into the public dialogue and to bring this message to the media, to bring this message to Capitol Hill and to other businesses, that we can articulate a strategy for moving forward to a new economy, that we can make this one that is real, that is good for businesses in this country, that will help us to grow these businesses at the same time that we could protect and create healthy and safe communities and protect the planet at the same time as well. Our businesses are working together in strength across a range of policy issues. We're working on climate and energy, chemical policy. We're working on creating new corporate forms like the Benefit Corporation. We're driving on understanding and how to overturn decisions like Citizens United at the Supreme Court level through our Business for Democracy campaign. And most importantly, we're trying to create understandings of what sustainable economic development looks like and the policies that will actually drive through on that. So from procurement, all the way out to incentive drives, all the way out to regulating the hazards, helping us understand and be able to manage the externalities, those things that are not taken into the accounting sheets at the moment, but need to be built in if we're going to build truly sustainable businesses over time. So over the last several years, we've been actively engaged on many different campaigns, raising up this new business voice that together is working to drive this more sustainable economy. So we're really encouraging businesses of all sorts to join with us, to work together, and to become this new power for advancing the kind of policies and strategies that will help to create this new economy.
We live in a time where we have endless economic challenges and huge business challenges. And we hear the voices of large companies, but rarely the voices of small and medium-sized companies. We often get confused and think that our economic health is dependent upon large multinational corporations, when that's not where new jobs are coming from, where that's not where innovation is coming from. So the critical nature of the ASBC is to give a voice to the real engine of our economy, and in particular, the engine of our economy that's going to create the kinds of businesses and the kinds of jobs we will need in the future. The Chamber of Commerce is really a representative, largely, of the old economy. The ASBC is really a representative of the new economy. And it is the issues like sustainability, like economic justice, that must shape economic policy, must shape businesses and business strategy if we are going to have the kind of world that we want our children and grandchildren to live in.
Well, my name is Andrew Kasoy. I'm one of the co-founders of B-Lab, which is a nonprofit whose mission is to use the power of business to solve social and environmental problems. We are a pretty small nonprofit, and as much as we know that policy issues are important to us, we don't have the resources or the team to really effectuate those policy issues on our own, especially because we're working on things at the municipal and the state and the federal level. We're also working on issues that really rely on corralling a huge amount of business support from a diverse set of business communities all over the country. And so the most important thing to us is being able to have a group of partners in a coalition that can, depending upon which state or which locality we are working in or which issue we're working on, that can bring the force of their relationships and their time and resources to bear. That's something we couldn't do on our own, but with the ASBC and having this coalition of network of networks, we've been able to reach out to groups of businesses and individuals that we never would have been able to do on our own. So this was a revolutionary idea for us and really critical, I think, to the success of our policy efforts.
I'm Lisa Nitza, and I'm the President and CEO of the Social Enterprise Alliance. It's based in Washington, D.C., but it's a North American organization that is a membership-based network of businesses and organizations. I think ASBC as an organization is a very important one for the Social Enterprise Alliance to be a part of, because the Social Enterprise Alliance has a whole lot of members that are simultaneously pursuing economic and social development. And one of the key actors in society for accomplishing that is business. We have both nonprofit members and for-profit members, and we have a number of members that have hybrid structures. The for-profits end up often partnering with nonprofits, but with all of them, they've got government and they've got corporations as very key actors in their success, with purchasing often as one of the most important elements of it. And preferential purchasing practices on the part of government, society, and corporations can make an enormous difference in the growth of social enterprises that are employing people with disabilities who would otherwise stay unemployed, who then become wage earners and active parts of the workforce at the same time as creating products and services that they're selling. So all other things being equal, if governments and corporations can be purchasing from those sources, they're getting a twofer. And so us partnering with corporations and all of the different business associations that are represented in ASBC is a very important way for us to be leveraging the role that we're playing in the economy in the U.S.
I'm Bob Keener. I'm the Program Director for Wealth for the Common Good. We organize, we help educate and help activate spokespeople to support progressive policies. Mostly we focus on tax policies. We see the value of sort of being in a network to amplify what we do. So we're looking for people who want to talk out on these issues or are willing to consider speaking out on these issues. And having ASBC sort of carrying that concept out to all of the other partners is a really valuable thing. One of the big campaigns that we've been working on with ASBC, we're a lead partner with Business for Shared Prosperity, is on ending tax havens, ending tax haven abuse. What we found is that by making a business case against tax havens, we really were able to break through a lot of the clutter and really help folks who are trying to change the legislation. Because all they've been hearing for years in working on this issue is how tax havens are good for business. In fact, the business case against tax havens is that they take money out of our local communities where local businesses are having to pay their taxes, pay their fair share of taxes, contribute to the local economy. And the large companies, the large U.S. multinationals who shelter their taxes and are not paying their full share of taxes, using the same infrastructure, same local infrastructure, and competing unfairly with these local businesses. So there's a strong business case, and once people in Congress and people who are policy makers hear this argument, it's quite profound.
My name is Fran Teplitz. I work for Green America, and my position there is that I serve as our Director for Social Investing and Strategic Outreach. I've been with the organization for 10 years, and we have a national membership of businesses that we screen on social and environmental criteria. We have about 4,000 of them now from coast to coast, and a few internationally. We've been very excited about the emergence of ASBC, and we're one of the original founding partners within the organization. Both Green America and the ASBC leadership were thinking pretty much simultaneously that now really was the time to amplify even more the collective voice of sustainable and green businesses. There were a couple of indicators either in Congress or with the change of administration. We thought now is the time to coalesce in a more organized fashion. We're just in the process now of developing the core principles that will guide our work on climate policy and energy-related issues together. So we have draft core principles, and we're also identifying a broad list of legislative and non-legislative opportunities for engagement. I think it's pretty well known that the crisis debate in this country is at a crisis, in a crisis period. The House acted last year, but the Senate failed to progress at all this year on moving the climate agenda forward. And there's a fundamental question as to whether or not any progress will be made in the remainder of this year and what will happen next year. So in many ways, it's a pivotal time for ASBC to step into the rift. And so we're addressing both how we might support what happens on the Hill, as well as Plan B options. If there is no meaningful traction on climate change policy, what are other things that our businesses can be doing? That if it's not federal legislation on a carbon cap, what are other initiatives out there that we can engage on?
My name is Jen Orgolini. I'm the Sustainability Director at New Belgium Brewing Company in Fort Collins, Colorado. New Belgium is the third largest craft brewery in the country, and we employ about 400 people. We decided to become a business supporter of ASBC because we wanted to ripple out our impact into the larger community and needed help doing that, with the kind of help we thought ASBC could provide, around what are responsible advocacy positions, how do we get in touch with our legislators, as well as we understand that to act alone isn't as effective as acting in concert. So we wanted to put our voice in with the voice of thousands of other companies.
I'm Frank Knapp. I'm President and CEO of the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce, an organization I co-founded back in 2000. The purpose of the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce is to make government more small business friendly. And we do that on a number of different issues, including on legislative matters as well as regulatory matters. We go in front of public bodies that are involved in making decisions about rate increases for utilities, workers' compensation rates, and we argue on behalf of the small businesses to keep those rates down as low as possible. ASBC is a great opportunity for organizations like ours, which is state-based, to be involved in national issues. It's because of the people with ASBC that enabled me to be involved this year on Wall Street reform, now on Small Business Jobs Act, and a number of things of this nature to be able to come to Washington, have meetings with congressional staff and congressmen and women, and even be involved in national press conferences. I don't know that there is anything quite like the ASBC. If there is, I don't know it. The ASBC is totally dedicated to a sustainable economy and working with business organizations that are typically small business organizations. I don't think there's anything out there like it, or else ASBC wouldn't exist.
I'm Mark McLeod, Executive Director of the Sustainable Business Alliance, an alliance of approximately 100 businesses in the East Bay in California. The American Sustainable Business Council is a voice that hasn't existed in the United States that I've known over the last 50, 60 years. The progressive businesses have really not had a voice that is able to articulate the perspective of progressive business at either the state level or the federal level. Instead, they've had to be embarrassed by a national chamber which they feel does not speak for them, which they have to put a lot of negative energy into saying, no, 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 I'm not part of that. And now I think the organizations that are a part of ASBC have said, we're going to be proactive. We're going to really create our own voice. We're going to be proud of it. We're going to be proud of the fact that businesses can be progressive and can have a real positive effect on public policy formation. Over this year, 25 business groups have rallied to the support of ASBC and will continue to grow, and it will be a much more powerful voice a year from now.